Ethereum is beating Bitcoin almost 4-to-1 this week, and your feed is screaming Altseason. I think that's wrong, and one number proves it. Today, what rotation actually looks like, why this one has exactly one lane, and the two things that have to happen before the alts get invited. First, the framework, because the word Altseason gets thrown around by people who never define it. Money in this market moves in a sequence. It enters through Bitcoin, the biggest door and the only one institutions are allowed to walk through. When Bitcoin stabilizes, capital hunts higher beta and steps into Ethereum. And in the late innings, it spills into the small caps. That last leg is what Altseason means, not one asset running, but the whole tail running. Keep that definition. We're about to test today's market against it. Here's this week. Ethereum, up 7.7% over 7 days. Bitcoin, up 2.1. That's a 3.6-to-1 spread, and by itself, it looks like textbook stage 2. Money leaving the big door, chasing beta. If you stopped here, Altseason is a reasonable call. So don't stop here. Look at Solana, the cleanest large alt proxy we have. Same 7 days, down 1.8%. Not lagging. Negative. In a real Altseason, that number leads, it doesn't bleed. So we have Ethereum running, and the tail going nowhere. That's not a crowd crossing a bridge. That's a one-lane road, and it only goes to Ethereum. Now the second dataset, and this is the part almost nobody shows you. Ether ETFs pulled in $96 million over the first 3 days of this week. Sounds like institutional demand. But look inside. On Wednesday, BlackRock's 2 funds took $49 million of it. The other 8 products, combined, took less than $5 million. That's a 10-to-1 concentration. Meanwhile, Grayscale's high-fee trust has bled $5.3 billion since launch. This isn't institutions arriving. It's one firm rebalancing, and everyone else standing still. Let me put that in plain terms. If 10 people walk into a shop and one of them spends $49 while the other 9 spend $5 between them, you don't call that a shopping boom. You call it one customer. That is exactly what today's Ether flow is. Now the bull case, fairly. Ethereum's strength isn't fake. There's real new demand. Robinhood Chain launched July 1st, it uses Ether for gas, and it's been processing over $800 million a day. That's genuine usage, not just a rebalance. And rotation always starts narrow. Every Altseason in history began with exactly this, ETH leading while the tail slept. So the bulls can honestly say we're early, not wrong. Here's my answer to that. Early and wrong look identical, right up until they don't. Which is why you don't argue about it. You write down what would settle it. So here's the falsifiable version. Altseason gets confirmed when 2 things happen together. 1, the small caps stop bleeding and start leading, so Solana and the tail outrun Ethereum for more than a few days. 2, the ETF concentration breaks, so the flow stops being one name and spreads across the other funds. Both, not either. If ETH keeps running while the tail bleeds and BlackRock stays the only driver, then this is a single asset trade wearing an Altseason costume, and I'll keep saying so. So, the summary. Rotation is real, Ethereum is genuinely beating Bitcoin, 3.6-to-1. Altseason is not, Solana is negative and the money has exactly one driver. We are stuck between stage 2 and stage 3, and stage 3 is historically where cycles top. So this isn't a reason to panic. It's a reason to know which stage you're actually standing in. Price is the past. Flows are the future. Subscribe, and the day the tail starts running, you'll hear it here first. Not financial advice. Do your own research.